This is Abhishek Jha, and he is a senior measurement and analytics partner at LinkedIn for Asia Pacific region. He sits at the crossroads of marketing science, measurement, and AI powered strategy, helping brands unlock outcomes, not just optics. Before LinkedIn, he was the senior analyst at Target, handled channel partners and direct sales in more than 40 countries. For Quick Heal as their global product marketing manager, served as the head of product marketing at Value First Digital Media, and was the business head at Neuron. So a good mixture of retail as well as SaaS in there. But outside of his job, Abhishek has built a steady growing content ecosystem where he breaks down Gen AI, leadership, and B2B marketing. B2B marketing measurement into simple, actionable, bite sized content pieces. And he's particularly passionate towards educating students about the world of Gen AI tools. He's here to talk about a topic which I think he's uniquely positioned to unpack, which is today's event, measuring impact and ROI on personal branding in the B2B sector. Abhishek, welcome. And thank you so much for being here.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It is an immense pleasure. I've been following you for a very long time, and I keep learning a lot from the stuff that you've been sharing. The steady content pieces that you talked about, a lot of them are influenced from the insights that I get from following people like you. So it's an absolute pleasure being here.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. But since it's the first episode with a guest, I was thinking we'd start with a tradition that I'm going to create, and that is we'll have our guests start with an unpopular opinion on the subject that we are exploring today. So, Abhishek, do you have an unpopular opinion on today's topic?
I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion or not, but I was really surprised when I got an invite from you and the specific topic that you wanted to talk about. If we measured personal branding the way we measure campaigns on LinkedIn and other marketing campaign, 90% of the B2B leaders would realize they're not undervalued, they're just irrelevant on the internet. So trying to bring the right measurement was something that I think was very interesting for me. And that's largely the reason that I'm here on the call with you.
Okay, so that's quite interesting. And the reason I I wanted to ask something that's unpopular, especially to you, because I personally feel there's a difference in personal branding between B2B and compared to B2C or D2C or whatnot. Do you believe there's a difference between B2B and B2C personal branding or other sectors?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the very basic of it, think right, and I think we've spoken about this previously, but uh, what when you're watching a TV advertisement, you're okay to drink a thumbs up if a Shah Rukh Khan is doing the ad. But in B2B, personal branding isn't just about that one visibility. It'll be about credibility and credibility at scale. So buyers will not be moving fast. We see that an average sales cycle in B2B, depending upon the complexity, is anywhere between 150 to 250 days long. So that's huge, right? Uh, so your buyer is not moving fast. They're not doing a left and right swipe like they're doing in the other aspects of the digital universe. And they rarely trust ads alone. They trust people who like experts. They trust people who talk like practitioners, and they show up consistency. So yes, there's a huge difference between the audiences that we see in B2B and B2C. And hence, there is that huge difference in the personal branding that may go together with somebody like for B2B as opposed to a B2C personal brand. This is not just about aesthetics. This is about execution. This is about repetition. This is about consistency. Um, if I am looking to buy a product that is going to cost my organization somewhere north of $200,000 annually, I am not just going to buy it on one advertisement or one post alone. I am going to buy it on the back of multiple consistent advertisements that I've seen that have established and pushed the story along for me and have told me that this product actually fits the challenges that my team is really looking to solve. So yes, huge difference in the product offerings, huge difference in the audience mentality, and there's a huge difference that needs to come into the B2B personal branding space as well.
Great. So Also, another reason I asked that questions is what, in my experience that I've worked with B2B founders or execs, I've noticed that they somehow fail to represent that sort of impact when it comes to showing it to the company. Okay, when we are doing it, when we are investing in personal branding, this is the sort of tangible impact that maybe you can show in other marketing campaigns, right? What's your take on maybe bridging that perception gaps between the personal branding efforts and the measurable outcomes?
I think I'd really start by addressing the fact that why the gap exists. And in my head, that primarily exists because B2B is rarely instant. I was just talking about how long the sales cycles are, right? It is not going to happen based on a single advertisement. A single post won't cut it for you. What as B2B marketing people and sales people we would like to call as the pipeline, that won't move based on a single post. But a consistent 90-day body of work will. Executives look for linear attribution, and 90 days is just a placeholder. This varies from like industry to industry, but executives look for linear attribution, but B2B buying isn't linear at all. Think of it in terms of the stakeholders that are involved in buying a B2B product, right? You are looking at, if not the subject matter expert within the company, then you're looking at the legal team, then you're looking at the buying committee, which is generally filled with the procurement people, the admin people, and the IT people, depending upon the software that you're saying. So to bridge this, I would like to tell leaders to look at the leading indicators and not just the number of leads that are being closed. So you want to talk about, hey, how many times was my founder or my personal brand referenced in a sales call? Now, so I'm not a founder, but when I go ahead and do my personal branding bit on LinkedIn, why I do that is this should help my sales team push conversations forward. And not just about measurement, but about LinkedIn and artificial intelligence overall, which is something that the Microsoft group overall is very gung-ho about. So how many times am I being referenced in calls? This is something that the pods or the sales teams can come back to you with. How many times am I being tagged by prospects for my opinions, for my POVs, for my controversial or unpopular opinions in their posts or in their meetings? Higher acceptance rates on outreach is something that I again look at, right? If I set up a meeting versus somebody who doesn't have a personal brand sets up a meeting, how many times does that get accepted? And once I walk into the room, you will see that there is a certain amount of perception already built in the minds of the people without even you having said a single word in that room. So once you track all of these alongside some what we usually track as pipeline velocity, uh, that really becomes clear that the gap exists because this is not going to be a instant gratification or a quick fix kind of a thing. And not to say that the only founders are struggling with this. I see this across industries. The biggest of B2B brands or the smallest of B2B startups, they want to measure everything. And all the marketers that I'm working with, they are asked to give like a monthly report of a $200,000 ticket size software as a service solution that they're selling. I don't think that's fair. But what we then kind of look at is what all things are moving the needle. So we then come up with all of these things along with pipeline velocity to see, hey, this is why you're seeing a slow movement, and this is how you can bridge the perception gap, as you called it.
Love that. I'm gonna nitpick something from something you said, and I'm gonna put it back on you. Okay. You mentioned how through all the touch points, when maybe you enter a room and people have that perception about you, right? How do you combine the hard metrics that we always show, right, and pair it correctly with soft metrics like thought leadership or trust building, something like that? And how do you put them together to show the right impact through it?
I think that's a very interesting question. It's a very interesting twist from where we were going. The trick is to stop treating them as separate worlds, I think. Yeah, trust is qualitative, yes, but shows up in very quantitative behaviors. So when you're looking at dwell times in your thought leadership posts, when you're looking at the designations or the seniority level that is of within your audience. And these are analytics available on LinkedIn. So anybody can go ahead and see what is the seniority level, what is the geography, how many views is my post getting, how many unique LinkedIn people am I reaching out. So that would be how I would connect something like a pipeline velocity versus things that are working well inside of my marketing campaign. So that's how I merge the two. You listen to the story of the numbers that are trying to tell, but then you also listen to what's happening on the ground in the field uh, all the time. So I think these are the ways that I would really integrate qualitative measures like trust or thought leadership, and with the hard analytics, something like pipeline velocity or time taken to close the deal or the deal size that you were in. Also, all of those things.
Love that. So I had a question that I was going to ask you a little later, but now that you brought up the metrics on LinkedIn, I just wanted to push it up. What are the key metrics and KPIs that truly capture the ROI of personal branding in the context of B2B? And how do you differentiate between the vanity metrics and the actual impactful ones?
Okay. This is something that's not just come to you, but it comes to every measurement conversation that I walk into, right? So I broadly uh, I'd like to classify these into four categories. One is you're trying to look at the quality of reach that you have. You've got impressions, you're reaching out to unique people and so many new people every time your post is doing good. But what are the metrics that you look at in reach quality? And I'll just come back to that. But you also, the second category that we'll talk about probably is the engagement quality. Uh, how many people liked it versus how many people, if you're doing a video, how many people liked it versus how many people actually went through the video completely. What is the dwell time on your video? We at in LinkedIn, again, very freely available analytics is what is the average view time of a particular video. So you want to look at the quality of engagement. If something like that is more than 20 seconds, then you're saying it's a good quality video. If it is below 17 seconds, I'm thinking you're missing the mark. And we'll come back to more of these. The third and the fourth one probably is the business relevance and commercial impact, and that's where really the differentiation would come in. So jumping back to category one, you want to look at your reach quality. Again, a freely available metric is you can divide the crowd that you're getting on your views or on your post in terms of their seniority. So how many people at an entry level, how many people who have a title of founder, or how many people who are mid managers and above are reaching my post? And does that really fit into the, how do I say this, target audience or the ideal customer profile that you had in mind while building your personal brand, or while building a personal brand that helps your business get more revenue? So that's number one, seniority of views. Is it falling into the right place? Then you're wanting to look at something which is industry of relevance. So if I am trying to sell a solution which is meant for manufacturing and I'm getting most of my views from IT, it doesn't really cut it. So is my post being viewed by the right people in the industry relevance? And there are ways to hack this. You develop more connections towards that industry and you'll automatically start seeing that. But if you want to expedite it, there is that option of you can boost your post with a certain amount of targeting and all of those things, so you are landing in actually the relevant audiences. Now, then there is geographic relevance. If I'm not selling at the moment in the Middle East and I'm getting most of my views from Middle East or somewhere in the Africa region, I'm not selling outside of India, it just doesn't benefit my cause. So what you want to be looking at is for a reach quality, am I getting the right seniority? Am I getting the right industry in terms of my target audience? Am I getting the right geography for where I wanting to sell? So this really goes ahead, and all these three things define the reach quality. Then you're talking about your engagement quality. How many people liked it versus how many people saved it or sent it to others. And this is a metric that has recently become available on the LinkedIn dashboards for all of our members. So you can see how many people saved it, how many people liked it, how many people sent it or shared it with their partners. And then there is the comment depth. If people are just coming and saying, "Hey, nice work. Hey, nice work. Looking good. Coming out nice," that's not happening. You want to look at what is the question, what are the questions that are coming to you, what are the points that have resonated with your target audience, and then establish that connection. So that comment depth really becomes important. And then um, s- I I want to look at a better term than repeat commenters, but your loyal audience. How many people really come back every time you posted something because they found something valuable the last time around you posted? So, building an engagement quality, I would really divide it to three sections: the ratio of saves to likes, the comment depth, and then how what is the loyalty that you have with your audience. And then there are the business side metrics and the commercial side metrics. Right? How many profile views did you get from your ideal customer profile? You as a LinkedIn member, you are allowed to see how who visited your profile. So how many people from the right ICP visited your profile? How many connections did you send out versus how many acceptance did you get? How many demo requests or inbound interest did you get in your profile or your company profile that later on referenced your personal branding? The talent pipeline improvements, and I think this is a big one for founders, especially within the artificial intelligence space today. uh, well, across industries, but that's where I'm seeing the most amount of traction. But what kind of talent am I able to attract? I know we look at a lot of famous celebrities online and in the business space, and they want to understand, hey, it'd be nice to work for somebody like that. So I think that is an image that is consciously being created. So the quality of talent that's coming your way, that becomes important. And lastly, the commercial impact, deal cycles, higher reply rates, improvement in warm account penetration, uh, overall just account penetration. You're targeting a company, how many people within that organization of and the buying committee they're going through that. So all of that. And then lastly, everything else is vanity unless you can click it back to these four criteria. We're talking about reach quality, engagement quality, business relevance, and then lastly, commercial impact. So those would be the four. And if it is not really coming back to any four of these, those are just vanity metrics. Don't really follow them at all.
I love how you mention these things. And I'll just share a small anecdote before you go ahead. I was working with an MD, okay?
Okay.
And he wanted to switch his role. He wanted to switch company, basically.
Okay.
And he wanted to start posting on LinkedIn, show up. He wouldn't call it a personal brand because he just wanted to do it for the job. But I sort of convinced him, we'll build a personal brand and make it less desperate and make it look like you really are an expert, which he was, by the way. He had tremendous amount of knowledge, 30 years of experience. So by creating the post, his posts had the tendency of going viral just for some reason. I don't know why. But the audiences weren't of the quality, like the people who would hire him, the higher ups in the company and the location. He was like, I wanted to go in this location. I'm like, nobody's even looking at you from there. And so we had to tweak the perspective of his content as well as started sending requests to these people by whom he wanted to be hired, people who would be interested in that sort of content. And the quality of the content was super high because it came from experience. It wasn't he wasn't just generating content like out of nowhere. There was no research. We didn't need to research because his mind was quite literally brilliant, right? 3 decades of experience, it all comes down to that. And it's interesting you said that because we literally worked on that. We were like every week when I would open his impressions just to show him what's happening, I'd be like, okay, look, now it's changed. Now the location has shifted. Now we're having more and more higher ups, more founders looking at you rather than lower employees who are not going to hire you. They're just here to admire you, right? And while you need that, they are also your audience. This content is also for them. We also have a specific goal. And that's something I always mention. You can't build a personal brand without a specific goal, by the way. So, yeah, thank you for saying that. It just gives me confidence on what I do.
No, absolutely. And see, I think LinkedIn as a platform, this is built primarily for the network effect. It is built for network effect more than any other platform out there. So, for example, an Instagram might be optimizing for views and engagement time right now, and something similar on a Facebook or a Twitter maybe. But LinkedIn is completely built for for the network effect. So if even if your audience isn't directly at times the people who are going to hire you, their admirers, but when they interact with your post, the network effects make sure that their network, which would have potential hirers, would see your post. So a little bit of that is okay, but that shouldn't be your sole focus. That shouldn't be the one metric that you're going after. Your focus should be really on those four pillars that we just spoke about.
Absolutely. That's why we create stakeholders in the first place, right? Like
Yeah.
before you even start posting. Okay. So my next question is from your perspective, what common mistakes do B2B leaders make when attempting to quantify the success of their personal brands? In easier words, are they looking at the wrong metrics, basically? And if they are, what metrics should they be looking at?
Yeah, it feels like you're kind of curveballing the question. It's very similar to what we just discussed, but come on, you want to look at you want to stop confusing noise with momentum, right? If you keep obsessing with likes, things are going viral, and you've got so many unique impressions and all of those things. Is the question you want to be really asking is, okay, that's fine, but am I reaching the right audience? What is the objective of my personal brand? Is the objective of my personal brand to get me more business? Is the objective of my personal brand to get me a new job, or is the objective of personal brands some like my personal brand something very unique? So is the and basis that objective is the right like audience profile really watching this? Are prospects mentioning you in your content meetings? Are your ideas traveling inside client organizations? Are you getting invited to the right forums to talk about the ideas that you're talking about? Are the right recruiters reaching you if you're wanting to like get a job in a specific industry? And there's a friend of mine that does this very well inside he works for a different organization, but I think he's really cracked it. His personal branding game is very consistent. He keeps it all on, but every time he wants to switch a job, he kind of makes sure that he's making content which is relatively, even though he's a subject matter expert of something very technical, like large language models, but then he would start breaking it down so simply that even HRs could understand that, okay, this guy really understands about LLMs. I should really be hiring him if I'm looking for an engineering leader in my team. So um, whenever doing the thing, I think just don't mistake noise for momentum. Don't obsess with likes. Don't obsess with I don't know, comments. Uh, really look at is your ideal customer profile coming and interacting with you? Are your ideas traveling in the right direction? So that's more important than going for likes or comments.
Just before you go ahead, to the audience, if you have any sort of questions, feel free to drop them down. If you don't, we are still going to talk. I hope you have your notebooks and you have your cup of chai or coffee, whatever, and you're taking down whatever Abhishek has to say because it's really brilliant. Okay. So my next question to you is, what role does this is interesting. This is something I really looked at. I was looking at your profile while I was thinking of this. What role does multi-touch attribution play in understanding the long, non-linear journey of personal brand influence in the complex B2B sales cycle? And it really is complex and non-linear, and sometimes it's like, is it ever going to happen? So, what's your take on that?
You've really done some sincere research. I have to give you that, because if you've gone to the level and where you've read and seen the stuff that I put on multi-touch attribution, you've really done your research very sincerely. In terms of what role does it play, I'd really say a massive role. Right, in B2B, your content rarely gets credit at the point of conversion. So if I did my there's something we call as the day one list in our line of work. So if you are present within the mind of the potential consumer at day one, then you are most likely to be the like the finalist of the products that are being kind of scheduled for it. So with that in mind, if your content is not getting the credit, you've made an advertisement, let's say 200 days ago, and your sales cycle is 200 days long, and you've come at the like the conversion point. So your brand or your advertisement, your personal brand, your first thought leadership article, which really got the consumer really intrigued about, hey, what's happening? This is something that I may be considering for my work. So that's what it is. And then there would be points in the middle where you've put out a video where you describe that idea or your product offering in more detail, and then would come a point when somebody from that organization would reach out to the sales team. So you see, uh, at least two, if not 4 to 5 touch points are there even before somebody submits a lead. All of those 3, 4, 5 touch points, if you don't give enough credit to them, uh, it's that football example, right? In a football team, if the lead is really the striker that you are considering, but your defenders, your midfielders are not passing the ball along, you're not giving the in entire infrastructure kind of necessary for your business to flourish. So multi-touch attributions help uncover that hidden lift that has happened even before leads have been fulfilled, and even after the lead has been submitted. You want to be keep influencing that target audience. Give your marketing team, like I say, hey, these are the people, or let your sales team come back to say, these are the people who are hot in my pipeline. Let's make sure we are giving them good quality content, and so that when we walk into the room next time, they are able to kind of see the value of what our product has to offer. It shows you the invisible touches. So when you're talking about multi-touch attribution, the post someone viewed 3 weeks before responding or submitting that lead, the comment they saw before making that form fill, the video that changed their perception about your company, all of that. Personal brand usually operates in this territory to kind of make sure making that impact on multiple points, and from there it really paints the multi-touch attribution. And there are different models of multi-touch attribution available, but irrespective of the brand that you pick, they will be able to give the right attribution to the efforts that you've taken even before the lead was submitted. So while a lot of B2B, and this is particularly something that I've seen in smaller organizations, B2B sales leaders don't like to give enough credit to B2B marketers. Multi-touch attribution will help you get that credit. So that I think is the biggest role uh, a, a multi-touch attribution system plays in the B2B sales cycle.
Absolutely love that. I love how elaborate your answers are, by the way. Um, okay. Another question related to analytics. Well, a few more, but um, okay. How can analytics help executives tailor and optimize their personal branding strategies to resonate better with their targeted audience segments?
I think but the most important thing is kind of figuring out who is actually paying attention. And in that universe, I know it sounds a little bit repetitive, but this is what we do, right? With your ideal customer profile, are they paying enough attention to you? Sometimes the audience you want is not the audience that you have. So that insight alone can completely change your entire marketing strategy. When leaders see which sectors, titles, regions are engaging, they're able to shift from generic posting to targeted narrative building. So, if, for example, uh, uh, I have a software solution that I'm really starting out with, do I really want to be starting out with the Americas and the European Unions if I'm doing international expansion, or do I really want to be starting out with maybe second and third world countries where those organizations don't have a sophisticated enough sales system already present, and I have that, you know, uh, possibility or advantage of saying that, hey, my focus is only on you. So then I can, whatever your problems that you have, I will be able to solve them the best. So when leaders see sectors and regions engaging, they are able to shift in the right direction. And when all of this is really coming together, your personal branding becomes a business lever, not just a hobby.
I agree with that. Um, so I'm gonna maybe go off script a little bit. Just wondering because you mentioned how um, we're trying to understand, obviously, in marketing, who is looking at your content. You know, who, like, you're getting the attention, but who's giving you the attention? Is it the right person and the right ICP, the profile, whatever that we create? I was recently on a Forbes article and it was sort of covering how to create an ICP. And this writer, whoever was the author, she's also a founder of a marketing agency. And something she mentioned really, you know, piqued my interest. She was like, you cannot create an ICP without having conversations with people. If you feel that your ICP are founders, right? They are like higher up executives in the company in the B2B world. You still cannot like create that profile unless you go and have, you know, small conversations with these people on a bulk. And then you maybe aggregate that and you try to understand that better. And then you create the ideal customer profile. Do you agree with that? Do you find your approach similar to that?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that is 100% on point. And one of my previous bosses, Mr. Sanjay Katkar, he recently put out a very interesting point. The time you stop obsessing about your product and start obsessing about the problem that your product is solving, your universe would suddenly change. What a beautiful thought! You are certainly going from being a narcissist to somebody who's extremely customer centric. So yes, please, like, for example, a cyber attack may be a problem that would kind of influence even the founder, but an endpoint security solution that you're trying to sell, and again taking the example from Sanjay Sir's universe, because on that conversation point. So but if that is what you're trying to sell, you don't really want to target the founder. You want to be targeting your CIS, chief information security officer, or the chief security officer that you have, or the IT head if it's a relatively smaller organization. So you will this insight I have because I had the opportunity to speak to them. The CEO is not worried about endpoint security or network solutions. He's worried about I should have fast internet so that my Zoom calls don't hang up when my team is trying to do business. He's thus This is the IT team that is going to be worried about. So figuring out your ICP is a lot about talking to your customer. And then uh, I if I may double click on that a little bit, there is a cost of action. Digital actions are relatively cheaper to have, and then there are offline actions that you want to have with the customer that are slightly more expensive. So when you're going in with an ICP, you can have a slightly broader ICP when you are online, but when you're creating like an offline event or some webinar or not webinar but a seminar that you want to be attending, you want to figure that out, that who are my high value customers that I want to be spending that higher revenue on, or higher aspect or higher ratio of my personal branding time on by attending that particular event and spending that amount over there. So yes, very important, speak to your ICP as much as possible. That is the only thing that will get you to the right ICP.
Thank you. Thank you for humoring me. Absolutely love that answer, by the way, and completely resonate with your ex-boss you mentioned, who talks about getting obsessed with the problem you're solving and not your product. Completely agree. Something I consistently speak about with my clients, like, let's just focus on what you're doing first instead of the other things. So we don't live under a rock, right? We know that we have AI. Some people are scared of it. Some people are way too excited about it. Some people are like, "Hey, AI, be my slave," right? And there's a complete conversation about um, using AI as an assistant, and then you completely integrating AI into your daily workflow, your business, whatever. Now, with that rise, and again, it's not just AI, but we are more than ever looking at analytics in marketing, right? So with the rise of both AI and analytics, how do you see the future of personal branding measurement evolving in the, say, next 2 to 3 or 5? We won't go more than 5 years because a lot changes way too soon, especially with AI. But how do you look at it?
um I would, if I may just take like one moment before answering that question, for people who are scared of AI, I would really want to say AI is not coming for your job. It is just coming for the excuses that you've been giving to yourself and your bosses, right?
I agree.
Moment it can measure and then kind of now focusing on our answer. But the moment we can measure your influence with real data, a lot of people who think they're thought leaders are going to have some tough conversations. But on the analytics landscape, we are moving towards precision. We are moving towards a very dangerously high level of precision. AI will look at and that being part of the LinkedIn Insights and analytics side of the universe as well, by virtue of the team that I work for, I know there are a lot of custom analyses that we do for various clients when they're trying to do, like, let's say, an international expansion, or they wanting to understand the sentiment that's happening towards a certain specific topic that they're working on. So tracking sentiment shifts, narrative coherence, influence scores, and how ideas migrate through networks. I think AI will shock you very soon in terms of how dangerously close to the analytics bit it is getting, right? Also, the fact that a lot of what you, somewhat, not a lot, but a lot of what you see today being limited and guardrailed by engineering profiles like a data miner or a data scientist or a data analyst, that is going to go away. You'll probably be able to do a huge portion of that uh, just by speaking in English. So you'll know exactly which thoughts triggered a spike in trust or which post nudged a deal forward. I think that's where AI is going to power analytics in the coming future. So again, kind of reiterating, but sentiment shift, narrative coherence, influence scores, and how do ideas migrate through networks? That's what AI-based analytics are going to be able to tell you very soon. We'll go from did my post do well to how did this post shape perception inside my top 50 accounts? Stark difference, right? Looking at like, clicks, and shares and all of those, and suddenly saying, what is my account penetration? That is the level of depth that, and account penetration in greater depth. We could still see how many people we have been able to influence today, but what is their sentiment about my product? What is how are they positive? Are they negative? If they have a particular opinion or feedback on a previous product that they've been used, all of this would be coming together, uh, changing the dynamic and the landscape of AI based analytics very soon, especially in the personal branding space.
Does it excite you?
Oh yes, it does. I think why we need to open up as individuals, as network, uh, is we want to spread our ideas. But if AI is able to tell me better on how to spread my ideas, which ideas are clicking, which ideas have contrary opinions, or which ideas are getting more dwell times, I want to be looking at that data versus just how many people clicked or commented. Like, that is just like that is that's just instant gratification and dopamine kicking in. It's not really personal branding.
I love that. Okay, so I have a last question for you. But
Okay.
before we wrap up, I really do want to know about this. Okay, so as you know, I do show up on your profile quite a lot. I may have stalked you in the past few days just to get these questions on as well. I hope you don't mind. But one thing that really stands out to me, and maybe that's the post that got me to follow you as well. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Um, One of the things I quite literally look forward to is your Mob series of MOB for all for the audience who may not know. It's Map Out B2B, which you do in collaboration with Anmol, right? I think he's the senior content solutions consultant at LinkedIn.
Right.
Right. Could you maybe shed a light on how this collaboration came about? Because it's not just me, by the way. I look at the engagement on your on those posts. They're quite fun, and I like how short they are. They're very to the point. It starts with the question, who is behind the scenes. I think he does something similar on his profile as well, which led me to his profile, of course. How did this come about? And maybe you could even shed some light on the importance of collaboration on LinkedIn or for personal branding in general.
Yeah. I think the collaboration happened very naturally, and while I really want to say thank you for calling this out, and map the fact that Map Out B2B stood out to you, I think some aspect of my branding towards those that content piece really worked. But the collaboration with Amol was fairly natural. The team inside of LinkedIn has gone through a little bit of restructuring, but in the previous universe, before the restructuring, we were pretty much on the same organization. So we were always thinking of kind of how can I get this message out? Or we were already jamming on topics that he's doing something in creative. He's saying this is the best way, but the client also wants to know what's the best way to measure it, if that was the best way to do it. So all of these things we would keep discussing and exchanging with us. It really occurred to us that the conversation we are doing is more valuable than half of the things that are otherwise present on LinkedIn around all of these things. So we just started recording this in slightly a formal setting and kind of putting out whatever we discussed as questions on the internet. And I think that is largely the reaction has been incredible. The fact that you've seen it, you called it out. I really appreciate that. People are seeing two practitioners bring the creative and the measurement world together. I think that's something that a lot of businesses have continued to struggle with. The best of businesses. It's not just about that, because often what happens is uh, the aspect of your business that is getting most credit is somewhat determined by the strength of the leader that you have in a department. What we are trying to do is not really take away the strength from the leader, but kind of put the strength on the content piece itself. How did it do well? How could it be best brought to life? What could you do to make sure it reaches the right people in the right time? And then uh, it feels real, not scripted, and I think that's why it's been working for me. Did I answer all aspects of your question? Did I miss any?
I think you did. Hey, you successfully did. I would also like to add maybe to that is what really stands out with that's the sort of content with MOB is it answers the right questions. It's not vague, it's not just content, it's not just value. It's answering the right questions. It's answering the questions that people may actually have, that people actually ask. The questions that surround um, the atmosphere of your audience behavior, right? Which may or may not be limited to whatever groups and ICPs that you create. And these are real questions. These are real time questions asked by real time people and real problems that need answers, need solutions, which I believe that one of the reasons that actually attracted me too was like, oh my God, that's actually sensible. And hey, it takes less than 30 seconds. That's the best part. Like it answers my question in less than 30 seconds. This might just as well be chat GPT or something, but yeah, we are officially out of questions. And honestly, it was so insightful. It's so insightful. I'm going to try and make sure this episode is gonna show up on other platforms as well. So if people have missed out, they can obviously go back. I'll share the link once it's available. Thank you for being here. It was fun. It was how do you say it? It was adventurous at the beginning. It took a while. Sorry, not sorry technology, but we got it. We got it here. And thank you so much for showing up. It really means a lot.
Yeah, don't worry about technology. That happens. I work for a tech company, so I know. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me here. I really enjoyed the questions, and while we're out of time, I'm going to connect offline and learn a little bit more about your personal journey and take lessons from that.
Definitely. We might have a second episode of both of us popping up onto your screens, people. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Del. You have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Bye bye.